Wow, the people who work behind the scenes really got crafty at this episode, I tell you. It's a nice touch. Although it's missing the...
Fuck you.
Screw it. Welcome back to Greenlight Cinema. I'm Brandon, and I just watched WandaVision episode 2, season 1, Don't Change That Dial. Sorry, I was making sure the lights didn't go out. They're very twitchy tonight. So yeah, let's break this episode down. It was very simple, sweet, and pretty to the point like the last episode, but this one left us with a cliffhanger. And I enjoyed that a little bit. So it starts out with, innocently enough, with Wanda and Vision in their bedroom, and they're, in separate beds at first. So it's them in their bedroom, but what's funny about this scene is they're woken in the middle of the night by a bang noise. I'm not sure what exactly it is that wakes them up. Vision keeps blaming it on a tree. Funny to me in the aspect is this guy's like a super AI cyborg, and like thunder, or just, well, it wasn't thunder, but like just a tree hitting a window. Just, this is what scares this guy. This is this guy's kryptonite, so to speak. I don't know. It's just kind of funny. He's like, Wanda, I'm going to be going to the neighborhood watch meeting. They're kind of setting up the episode for us. And she's like, oh, I'm going to be doing something with Dottie, for the neighborhood kids for the talent show. And so they're like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Bang, there's that noise again. And she does like her little bewitch powers and combines the separate beds into one bed, makes it all, a little bit cozy. And he was like, Wanda, turn out the lights. And it like cuts to, fades to the little theme, and it's like it's really bewitchy. It reminded me a lot of Bewitched. This one did. They're just paying homage, and I love that. Cut to, we, after the little, theme song they have for WandaVision, we see them practicing for the talent show that they're talking about in the early part of the episode. And the goal is here, which I thought was pretty funny in itself, is to look as normal as possible. And they're doing like a magician act. He's Illusion, her name is Glamour. And their goal, like I said, is to perform this magic trick, look human, and like, cutesy stuff, which it actually goes exactly like that. I mean, spoilers. I mean, this show's streaming now. The only reason why I'm so late and delayed on these episodes is because no one will watch these shows with me. You gotta understand, I have kids, 9 and 2 years old. They see black and white shows, they're not gonna stay in the room with daddy. This is more of something I have to find time to do. I have to go to the studio and watch this and not get sucked into the ID channel. Ugh. Alright, back to the show. So we have this little thing here with them trying to perform their magic trick, and we're getting a little context too, because they're giving us a little expository dialogue to explain why, putting a little bit more emphasis, we need to look normal, we want to fit in, and they're like, oh, you know what, we need to go to our separate things, and I gotta go see Dottie. And he's like, I gotta go to that neighborhood watch meeting. And he's really excited about it. But after he leaves, she hears this weird random bang again. And, oh yeah, it's like consistent weird random noises throughout this episode in parts. she goes outside and sees, and this is where it becomes like Pleasantville. I don't know if anyone's seen that old Tobey Maguire film. I love that movie. I hadn't seen it in many years. It's been years since I watched it, so I apologize if I've got the premise wrong on this. But I believe what happens is like they kind of like corrupt black and white, and like, you know, they start making out with people from that era, and then like they turn into like color. You know, it's like all, nothing's black and white anymore. It all becomes color. Jeff Daniels is also in it. Okay, back to this show. There's a red and yellow helicopter, toy helicopter, lands and falls, and Wanda discovers this and is trying to like figure it out while and I had to write this down because I was just so weird. Like, we see Agnes, she pops up and she's like, you know, oh look, the star of the show. You know, I have to take these extensive notes. But I thought that was pretty interesting. And she sees this toy helicopter, I'm pretty sure, but doesn't say or do anything really, or acknowledge it. Yeah, it's just whatever. And then she sees the mailman and says some quippy line. So she's like, well, before we go to Dottie's, you gotta understand, she's a different character. I'm trying to do the transatlantic, and that's kind of how Agnes sounds. And pretty much most of them kind of do, but not too many. Elizabeth Olsen is like being her normal voice, it feels like to me. I mean, I've not heard her speak a lot in public, but like she's no longer doing the Russian Sarkovian thing.
To save us. Every shift in the bricks, I think this will set it off. We wait for 2 days for Tony Stark to kill us.
Which is interesting. We also get a little commercial. I didn't know if I mentioned this in the last episode or not. But we're getting these little commercials. Oh no, my lights. Next we're at Dottie's, and Elizabeth Olsen, Wanda, is not really enjoying herself particularly. She's pretty like irritated, I think, because she's trying to like make conversation with like this, I can't remember everyone's name yet. This woman, and she's like talking to her. Like, Dottie's like, you know, like, excuse me, you know, and like, we're having our own thing here. She's like really like cult-like.
Welcome to our comedy video.
It's the weirdest thing. And they're all like, for the children, the talent show, for the children. So Wanda's like having like a really hard time herself also trying to fit in, because it is kind of funny. We see her a little run down, I think, a little bit, because she's not being able to use some of her powers or anything, or manipulate any of her surroundings or environment. She's just, you know, just trying to look human and be human, and I think it's kind of exhausting her and boring her. And then you hear Agnes saying another quippy stuff like, I don't know how anyone's doing this sober. Meanwhile, cut to the guys, and Vision has made it to the neighborhood watch. He's excited, and he doesn't realize he's just came upon a bunch of dudes just chilling, kind of getting away from their wives and just, you know, shooting a breeze, having some pastries. And again, we have this overly complicated AI superhero trying to fit in with these dudes just chilling, eating pastry, shooting a breeze. Vision want a pastry, and he's like, well, I don't eat anything. And they're like, oh, okay, what? And he's like, well, I do, but I'm telling you, this guy, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name. This guy is a star. He's hilarious. So this overly complicated AI just realized, oops, I'm supposed to say I do eat. He's like, well, I don't like to eat between meals, but he's like, around mealtime, I'm a regular eating machine. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, like, it's just so funny. I love his voice. This guy's a great actor, and everyone's like, oh, Vision, you're so hilarious, you know, and, well, you want some gum? Or someone says, well, the guy doesn't eat, and they're like, do you really consider gum food? And they're like, well, he's like, I see it as purely for mastication. And this one guy's like, I don't do that. I love that. I laughed probably harder to myself about that than anything. I don't know why. These guys just shooting the breeze. That, you know, I figured he would have said something like for recreation.
Does anybody walk or run anymore?
Of course we run, but for recreation.
for fun.
Run for fun? What the hell kind of fun is that?
Which is, I guess, you know, same thing pretty much. But I don't know. It was just so funny that mastication joke. I shouldn't laugh so hard about that. Anyway, moving on. So yeah. So, you know, Vision, he's pretty comfortable if these guys are all laughing. They're like, wow, Vision, here we all thought you was a square. He's like, no, me, I'm as round as a circle. And it's just the funniest stuff. Like, I mean, he's just saying really goofy, silly dialogue that's just perfect for this character. So he has a piece of gum. He actually does take a piece of gum. And someone, like, pats him on the back. And during this moment, he actually, like, swallows it. And it really kind of, you know, causes a sticky situation. Right? Jokes. I got them all day, folks. Moving on. Did I mention this? The Vision pointed out someone was a communist and they all laughed about it. I thought that was pretty scary things back then. I thought that was funny. But he does have gum. And I love these little simple things. So Gums gets like caught in the circuits. Next we see Wanda. She's with Dottie and she's helping her like after the party, I guess. Everyone's left because it's just her, it's just Wanda and Dottie. And she's cleaning up, not using her powers. This is what I was talking about. She looks like she's exhausted. Because, you know, any other time she, I guess, would be doing her, like, bewitched stuff and, like, be, like, moving dishes with her head and things. But in this environment, she's not able to do that. Well, I believe that's all of it. And she's like, you know, Dottie, I can't help but think that we might have gotten off on the wrong foot. And she's like, is there a way I can fix that? And she's, like, really, like, stuck up and, like, no, I don't think there is. And all of a sudden, we hear this Beach Boys song, Help Me Rhonda. And it's like playing like super loud and just keeps going. But then all of a sudden we hear, which is funny because Rhonda and Wanda, I don't know if anyone made that connection or thought about that. I know old songs like that because everyone knows I'm an old soul. I'm a boomer. So yeah, they're playing this song, but all of a sudden in the radio we hear Wanda. It gets really super creepy, like all of a sudden we feel, whoa, that was weird. The lights blinked. So it gets super creepy, like we start to feel like an atmosphere between her and Dottie. And she's like, I know about you and your husband. I know all about you. And she's triggering Wanda's powers. And like Wanda's trying to keep her cool. And all of a sudden that Help Me Rhonda's playing just so loud. And like she breaks the radio or something clicks through the radio or like comes through on the other side and was like, who did this to you, Wanda? Wanda, Wanda. And it just like all of a sudden like we're like, what? And I think Wanda is like that too and like Dottie is too. But like the radio explodes and it's like a Truman Show situation. It's like, all right, back on cue. But Dottie looks at Wanda like as if nothing happened and goes, question. How do you get blood out of linen? Or some type of weird thing like that. Like nothing has happened at all when a lot has happened. She's bleeding visibly red blood in this black and white thing. Okay, next. I'm going to try and make this brief. These are just supposed to be little brief episodes. I'm not trying to override my software here. And they're very short episodes too on Disney+. But they have like a little commercial. I'm not sure if I spoke about this or not in the last episode because they had one also for Bill's like Stark Industries. This one's like for Hydra watch commercial or something. It was pretty interesting, and it was a Strucker. So these are all names I know that I've heard somewhere.
Baron Strucker, Hydra's #1 thug.
Technically, I'm a thug for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, then technically you're unemployed. Where's Loki's scepter?
Don't worry, I know when I'm beat. You'll mention how I cooperated, I hope.
I'll put it right under illegal human experimentation. How many are there? We have a second enhanced. Female. Do not engage.
You'll have to be faster than that.
Kind of, you know, moving on next. And this is like, you know, the end of the episode. They're having their talent show, and they're showing like all the little acts or whatever. And they're, you know, these little cutesy little things of the guy playing a piano and the woman dancing or something. Cut to now we have Wanda and Vision, but it's like, uh-oh, where's Vision? And he pops up like, and they're playing like some Inspector Gadget music as he walks in the frame. I thought that was kind of neat. It sounded like she doesn't realize what's going on. Wanda, she sees Vision. She's just relieved to see him. He looks like he's like a drunk human, but he's of course an AI that's got gum inside his circuits, and they have this like, you know, little, you know, cartoon artwork for it that works perfectly, honestly. Like, I really just, it's so nice to have these little simple episodes, like I said. So, you know, they get to the talent show, they have to prove that they're, you know, normal, and Vision's not being normal. And this is where Vision really shines. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. And, you know, and just, I even wrote this down. We have the flying attempt, and then Wanda, so Vision tries to show off his powers. That's the funny thing, is Vision becomes the opposite of himself in this episode, which I'm not sure if that's going to come back up later. But I thought that was a little interesting premise. He starts to like show off his powers, which means he's flying in front of everyone, but like Wanda like kind of like fixes it and is like, oh, it's just a rope, everyone, an illusion. Glamour and illusion. The next thing is though, he's like, oh, let me show you my strength, the feats of strength. And he picks up the piano, and then she's like, whoa, 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 and like switches, does their little bewitch thing. But it's funny though, because the piano just turns to cardboard right before their eyes. And he's like, oh man, that's my grandma or mom's piano. Like, but not even phased it, like, hey, that piano I've had all my life just turned into a cardboard cutout. None of that. But then we have like, is this your card? 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 And that was pretty funny to me. And then like, funny, I mean, because it goes on for a hot minute. And then he's like, well, here it is, the last card. He's like, well, that's it. He's like, it's what? And he's like, that's my card. He's like, well, of course it is. I'm the magician. And again, this is totally out of Vision's character. But like, they have like one final trick they're going to do. And they have to do this magic box, and he's going to make Wanda disappear. But he doesn't do that and gets confused and puts a hat through himself. And everyone's like, what did we just see? And they're like, she's like, mirrors, everyone. They're like, oh, they're like, that's how mirrors work. I was like, breaking the fourth wall. Nice. It's pretty funny. I enjoyed that. Okay, wrapping this up. So they get like a little time. They're done with their little show. And they're getting some time to themselves, and she's like, what is going on with you? But like way nicer than how I just presented it. And he's like, I'm sorry, I don't know. And he's like, something happened. And she just like kind of like realizes it all of a sudden and just has these like magical powers, and they pull this gum out of him. And it's like, and we see a cartoon like, woo, and it just like shoots out of him. And he's like, I really gummed up the works. And he's like, I'm not as funny about it. I thought that was pretty good. But so they try to sneak off because they're like, well, we made a show, you know, but it was cute though, you know, he has his wife there to pick him up, and like he made a complete, you know what, of themselves, but it put on a great show actually for the children, and everyone enjoyed it. And Donnie's like, wait right there, you two, and receive this award on stage. And they're like, okay. They bow, and they got the award, and take off. Well, now we're at the end of the episode. And this is where it got pretty crazy and interesting at the same time. They're like, they come home, they're like, wow, we pulled that one off successfully, and I owe it all to you, Glamour and Illusion, you know, the same corny little sweet wife-husband jokes. It was all for the children, that's right. But she's like, well, I think the children deserve some popcorn. And as she says that, we notice, and he notices, he's like, oh, Wanda, she's pregnant. And she's like, Vision, is this really happening? And like, he's like, yes. And then all of a sudden, there's that noise again. He's like, it's that Dawn Tree. And he comes out there, or they come out there, and we see this guy coming out of a sewer wearing a beehive outfit. And it's like, okay? I know that has to be a reference to somebody, and there's probably someone out there now who's like, you stupid, you got the Marvel and this and all this. These are my kids. I also play with them because I'm a grown adult, a man-child. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do, and I love playing toys and Batman. But my point being is, they go back in the house, finishing this episode. But I was like, okay, what's up with the B guy? Because he gets them awfully nervous, and she just says no. Because he's like, Wanda. And she's like, no. I know he's an Easter egg. I know there's going to be Marvel people out there like, come on, man, you just read the books or read the comics or finish the episodes. It's hard to. Sometimes when my kids are here, like I said, I have to find these times to do it. And I don't know if she does it or the people controlling the show, the Truman Show people. I don't know who does it, but someone rewinds them back to that last scene. She's like, is this really happening? And he's like, yes. And then all of a sudden they're in color. And she's pregnant. And they're in color. And it's like dun 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 dun. And it ends. But it doesn't just end completely there. If I'm not mistaken, we see we hear that Wanda, are you okay? But I like this episode. I'm anxious to see where this is going to go. And it's going to take me a week to see this too. But, you know, I can't wait, though, to check this out. It's pretty interesting where this is going. I've heard, though, that a lot of people don't like this. And I'm like, man, I think this is a pretty good show. And I think it's really interesting if people just give it the time. But I don't know. I might be disengaged out of this third episode. I'm not sure. I just can't wait to see where this goes. I love how it's changing different decades. Because this was definitely, like, 5 years different looking from the first episode. I don't know how. Don't ask me how I know that. It looked just like it was early 60s, and the last one looked like late 50s. I'll just put it to you like that. But I hope you guys like this episode that I did a review on for WandaVision. Don't change that dial. And if you guys haven't already, I hope you guys will subscribe to my channel. And follow me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, any of that. And because I'm always constantly letting everyone know what I'm doing next. But yeah, guys, I'm going to try and work on some more of these. Or maybe just go back to Space Cop, you know what I mean? But I have to finish this. I got to know what this is all about. But anyway, alright guys, thanks for watching. Bye.